Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here with my co-worker and fellow brown person, and today we're going to be sharing our thoughts on life in Japan, dating, regrets, and various other topics. We're going to be interviewing each other.
Mark, could you tell me what were some barriers? What are some barriers for socializing when you first came to Japan the first few months, and then after living in Japan, what are some of those barriers you faced socializing?
I think for me, one of the hardest things to do is actually make friends in Japan with Japanese people. You can't just make friends on the street. No one talks to each other, no one socializes. For me, the best way to make friends is through your workplace, and they will introduce you to more people. When I first came to Japan, I had a really cool boss, this Japanese girl, and she would host house parties and barbecue parties, or go to the river like we are now. And they would bring their friends, and we would bring our other teacher friends, and we network. And that was the easiest way to make friends in Japan. It's easy to make friends with foreign people first, because you're lost in Japan. But the longer you stay here, you're gonna find it easier to make friends with Japanese people.
Yeah, Japan is a very network society in terms of friendship, in terms of relationships. My boss introduced me to some people, and we went to some business events and met a couple English-speaking people, and that's how I kind of started speaking to them, exchange information, and then they'll invite you to some parties or some events, and then you just have to go and experience that. Once they see who you are, from then on, you're going to get more invitations. Now that you've situated in Japan, Mark, could you tell our viewers what are some obstacles you face now as a mid-career person in Japan?
I'm nearly 40, and people my age, especially Japanese people, don't really socialize that much because most of them are married or too deep into their work life. They work maybe 14 hours, 15 hours shifts. They're too tired, or they're whipped by their wife. Japanese people in their early 20s, they're down to have fun quite easily, but the older they get, the more obligated they are by their company. So it's really hard actually to meet Japanese people and hang out often. I meet my Japanese friends maybe every 3-4 months, but I can easily meet my UK mates. I can meet you easily 3 times a month, no problem.
Once you're married, you stick to your partner, you stick to your wife, or if you're in a relationship, you stick to your girlfriend, and that's it. That's really, I think, toxic in a sense, because you're limiting your wife, your husband, whomever, to have that freedom and flexibility. Once your spouse has cut off that connection with your outside friends, then you really start to feel it. A very few percentage of my Japanese friends have this balance where they're married, they have kids, they balance this between their spouses. You take care of the kid, I'll take care of the kid on a different day, I'll go out and hang out with my friends. So that is really important if you're living in Japan as a foreigner.
One of the biggest mistakes you can do is cut off your friends, even if you're married, because your wife is your wife, your husband is your husband, but at the end of the day, you need guys need their brothers, their mates. They're the ones who are going to be the counselors. They're going to solve their problems and share their problems with, not their wife. And especially for foreigners who are in Japan, you don't have your family. So worst case scenario, you break up with your wife. Who do you have there who's going to be there for you? It's your friends. It's not going to be your wife or your wife's family. If you have financial problems, you need help, even things like finding a place to live or setting up a bank account, things like these, because they know your challenge, your struggle. Your wife or your husband will try, but they don't know the struggle that we face.
Type of Japanese girls you've come across, you see walking on the street on the weekdays, working with the Japanese girls. What are the types of Japanese girls in Japan?
being in Tokyo, you probably have the widest variety of Japanese girls you would see. 95% of them, 90% are in shape, they well dressed, very feminine looking, and yeah, they're really attractive. They take good care of themselves. They're a nice variety of girls. For example, you have subcultures in Japan. You have we call them gyaru. It's the ones which are dark skin, tattoos, long nails, high heel, knee-high boots, smoking, my favorite type. And you also have the kawaii, typical cute girl. They're very common, like the gothic type of girl. Also, you have girls who are more into Western culture, the westernized girls in Japan. So their fashion is a bit more influenced by Western culture. They're not so modest, they're a bit more confident. And also you get the ones that are very shy, very plain. They cover their face, they wear masks, they wear sunglasses, they wear gloves. You get a very interesting variety here.
What have your experiences been with these type of girls that you've encountered in the past, Mark?
I get a very limited type of girl in Japan who is attracted to me. I usually get the ones that are not typical Japanese girls, the ones that like Japan, don't really like me. The ones who are more influenced by Western culture, especially black or like Latin, Caribbean culture, or ethnic culture like Indian culture, they like me, which is not the majority of Japanese girls that are into foreign culture. I think most Japanese girls are into the typical white guy. That's what most Japanese girls into foreign guys like. But yeah, I get the ones that like going to the beach girls, party girls, girls that like Caribbean reggae culture, Yankee girls also. Yankees a subculture. It's a bit like it's like a chav in English, like a working class, a little bit rough. Those girls are kind of nice. We get along really well. But I notice it's completely different to the typical white guy in Japan.
Quite the opposite for me. I'll get the more curious girl. You'll have the girl who's very curious, internationally minded. Maybe they went to South Asia or they went to the Middle East. So they're going to stand out because you go to what they call an izakaya, so Japanese pub bar, and more than likely there will be one girl there who's very shy and they're very reluctant to speak openly and give their opinion. Those are the ones that are going to be probably interested in you, want to have a conversation. In Japan, most of the Japanese girls, they prefer no facial hair. So there tends to be this kind of stereotype where facial hair is bad, no facial, clean shaved is the better looking. Definitely try to seek out girls that are more curious, and those are the people you'll end up making connection and mingling with more easily than your typical standard.
That cute kawaii thing gets annoying really quick.
The cuteness starts to wear off. The first few weeks, first few months, you'll be very curious, interested in it. It might be the right thing for you, but as time goes on, you'll start to realize this is not actual reality. So just be wary of that. Those are some things to keep in mind when dating in Japan.